Is Reacher Season 1 worth watching? So the Amazon original show came out roughly 1 year ago already, and I finally got around to watching it, and I want to kind of give my thoughts and feelings about the show, but in no way is this a in-depth episode by episode review. If that's what you're looking for, this is not the video for you. This is just going to be a general analysis, kind of going over my thoughts and opinions on the season as a whole. Also be prepared for spoilers because I will talk about things that happen in the show, but other than that, let's jump into the video. So going into Reacher, I didn't know much about the show really at all. I know there's a Tom Cruise movie, I believe, and there's also books about the Jack Reacher character, but beyond that, I don't really know anything. I don't even know how many books there are or even how many movies, but I went into this show not knowing what to expect. The only person I know who's watched it and kind of enjoyed it was my mom, so I figured, what the heck, give it a shot. There's only 8 episodes. Even if it sucks, it's 8 episodes, right? But I was thoroughly surprised that it was a pretty good show. Like, I really did enjoy watching it. It's a fun story that kind of unwraps itself throughout the whole season, and stuff kind of piles on each other of like, oh, that's a clever way to tell the story, or that's a clever way to get these two characters together. I think the action's really good. I think the violence is really good. I think it's well acted, and the story doesn't treat you like you're stupid, and that's something I really appreciate. And I would personally consider it one of Amazon's better shows that they've made. I think the actor who plays Jack Reacher does a really good job playing that type of character. And again, I don't know how he's like in the books or the movies or anything like that. The actor plays him very uniquely because a lot of, smart guys aren't that big, and a lot of big guys aren't that smart. So it's a very fun way to have a character like that be on the screen, right? And his motivations and the things that motivate him make a lot of sense as the story moves along. And the relationships he develops with the characters also feel genuine enough, and they make sense as the show goes along. So the broad strokes of the show: Jack Reacher is a retired military police investigator, and the show starts with him blowing into a small town in Georgia. And from that point on, kind of chaos ensues throughout the rest of the season. He gets falsely accused and arrested for a murder he did not commit. That gets kind of swept aside pretty quickly within the first couple episodes, and then after that he teams up with a few of the cops on that police force and helps them solve a bigger grand conspiracy going on in the town. And again, I think it all wraps in itself really well and makes for a pretty good story. Having Jack's brother be one of the characters murdered to start the show, but we didn't know that right away, and for that to develop over time, was an interesting way to bring Jack into the fold, because before that he really didn't care about anyone on the police force and he didn't care about solving the murder at all. But once he learned those things, it of course motivated him to find out what's going on and solve the mystery at hand. I feel like this show has not a lot of fat to it. It's very lean, it gets right to the point, and it truly feels like an 8-hour movie in my opinion. The plot moves along quickly, there's not a lot of fluff, and everything you see on screen matters. There's no point where you see something that it doesn't matter, because everything comes full circle in one way or another, and that is honestly really good writing. The two other main characters in this show are Roscoe and Finley, and those are the two cops that Reacher kind of pairs up with to solve the grand conspiracy going on within the show. And I think both of those characters are really well acted, and also they're both very compelling characters in their own right. Roscoe is a hometown girl who becomes a cop because her parents were killed and she wants to make a difference, and then Finley is a out-of-town cop who shows up there and is looking for a fresh start, so on and so forth, and that's how he ends up down in Georgia. Some of the bad guys, I will say, are a little flat. The first couple that they introduced were pretty good, but the turn of Picard being a bad guy really wasn't a huge twist. And KJ, the, I guess, last big protagonist that Reacher ended up killing, he wasn't all that threatening. I know he did a lot of things to a lot of the characters, but I feel like the dad was more conniving and more interesting for whatever reason compared to the son, but it's not here nor there. KJ got dealt with in the end, so it really doesn't matter. So it will be quite interesting to see where this show goes for season 2. Will Reacher reach out to the characters he became friends with throughout the season, or are they going to get put on the bench completely? It'd be interesting to see what they do with that, because I would imagine they'll pop up again in some capacity, but I'm really interested to see what type of adventure Reacher goes on next, because he can pretty much go anywhere and do anything. I mean, in his own words, he is a hobo, so he can kind of go wherever and solve whatever crimes, right? Before I forget to mention, I also thought the use of flashbacks was well done in this show. Sometimes shows can over rely on them, but I thought this show did did it quite tastefully. It added overall depth to Joe and Jack, and it made Jack a more compelling character and a little bit more sympathetic and kind of understand where he's coming from. So they really did use the flashback sequences quite well. But one thing that's interesting though, they never mentioned how his dad actually died. We see how his mom dies, but we don't know how his dad dies, so maybe that's something we can learn in season 2. It's not that important, but still, it'd be kind of interesting to know. The one other tiny character complaint I'm going to have for this show is Bruce McGill's portrayal of Mayor Grover Teal. He kind of leaned into the boss hog of it all a little bit too much, and maybe it's just because I watched him a lot on Rizzoli and Isles. It just wasn't too believable that he was that character, and maybe it was just kind of too over the top for a pretty grounded show, and I don't know, sometimes that character just kind of took me out of the moment. Maybe I'm alone there, but that's just how I feel about it. But I think those are my general thoughts on Reacher. I definitely think it is a easy watch, and I would definitely recommend it to anyone who's into action thrillers, cop dramas, or anything like that. This is a really fun show, and again, I really think it's one of Amazon's better shows that they've made. Definitely think it's better than Chris Pratt's show, The Terminalist. It just feels more grounded and a little more realistic, and I know, like all shows, you have to suspend some disbelief here or there, but this show does a good job at, again, not treating you like you're an idiot and really letting you figure out the mystery with the characters, and also at the same time staying pretty grounded like I mentioned before. So definitely check out the show if you have Amazon Prime. It's only 8 episodes, so it can go quickly. You can watch it in a night or two. You definitely will, because it's very easy to binge, and each episode stacks on itself very well. One thing before I forget too, I really liked how Jack and his brother used former Yankee players as their aliases. I thought that was a really fun touch to deepen their characters a little bit more and show that they both have a love for baseball and they're both Yankee fans. I know it's a tiny little detail, but things like that really make me enjoy characters all that much more. So with that said, let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below about Reacher. And while you're down there, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, that'd be greatly appreciated. Until next time, guys, everyone have a great day. Thanks for watching.